recording.
So it's all going to be videoed.
Yep, no, pretend it's not there. Don't have to worry about that. Alright, need to do the sound check. Yep, it's working.
What does that do?
It just syncs the sound, makes it easier.
Oh, how do you know it's working?
You don't worry about it. I'll just
Might be finished and say, oh, sorry, it doesn't go.
if it's not working, we'll do it again at Christmas. So I guess we'll start with your full name when you were born.
Moira, my surname, what I was born name or now?
No, now, just your full name. Yep.
Moira Elizabeth Cain. I don't need to know. 16 October 38.
38.
Yeah.
What was it like in that time when you were born in your early years? What were the times like?
There was a war on, and I can just vaguely remember I'm only a child, and at night time you had to cover the windows so the light couldn't be seen, because of air raids or things and that sort of thing.
Wow.
But I had 4 brothers at that stage, and I had a doll's pram, but nobody had pram, so my doll's pram was like a tractor. And about 6.5 I was when I had a sister.
Yeah.
But because there was that big age gap, we didn't really sort of become closer till later on in life. But apart from that, I played cricket and with the boys and all that sort of thing,
So how many siblings do you have in total?
5.
5.
Yeah, 4 boys and 2 girls in the family. So
Nice. What were their names?
Tom, Jim, Moira, Kevin, Brian, Cecilia.
Yep. I'm named after Brian. It's my middle name, Brian. And what were the times like then? Obviously there was the war going on. Do you remember much about those times?
Opposite where we lived, they had the big American Army camps. And I can just vaguely remember that they were always bringing lollies or giving lollies to the kids round about, because the kids you ran across the road and there were no cars or anything much. And so it was just, free times and we just played and, yeah.
And how old were you when all that finished and sort of life went back to normal? It'd been like 7 or 8?
Probably, yeah. What did the war go from?
Finished in what, 45?
35, 45 or 40 to 45. Yeah, about 45 was, yeah. About
so maybe
about 7-ish, yeah.
Okay. And so what was it like growing up with so many siblings? Obviously you're playing cricket.
Well, everybody had big families in those days, so it was fun. Everybody played with everybody, and all my friends came around and they were dragged into cricket too, which they loved, and
Yeah. Did you get picked on much?
No.
Whereabouts were you in the age difference between them all?
There were 2 boys and a girl, me, and another 2 boys and a girl.
Okay.
So I was in the middle.
Mum was telling me that because of your siblings, you don't like the water anymore.
No, I think one of them pushed me under. And I hate the water. I don't even like a bath.
Really?
Truly.
So do you swim? Have you ever swum or anything like that?
Well, I had to go to swimming classes at school, but apart from that, no, I've never liked the water. And yet Granddad loved it.
Yeah, he did too.
So we were 2 opposites.
Yeah. And I guess moving into teenage years, what were the teenage years like for you? And where were you? You were in the whole time? Waterloo, yeah.
Waterloo. The only thing you ever did was went to the pictures maybe a Saturday afternoon once in a while, but you didn't really go out and do things because there weren't things to do.
Yeah.
No shops open at the weekends, of course, so so you just went round to your friends or they came round to you and you played outside. And
Yeah. What were your hobbies when you were at that age?
I always liked tennis. I loved tennis, and I used to like running and high jumping. At home, I'd be jumping over the fence, and I thought I was quite good.
Little ninja.
No, it's just very normal. There was nothing organised, and kids just got out and played, and everybody got on.
Yeah.
You didn't have fighting and scraps and things. I mean, you had I'd fight with your own brothers and that, but some of them you didn't like at the time, but
yeah. So no fights at school then, no hair pulling.
No. There was no bullying or anything like that. Did I remember? No.
Yeah.
Everybody sort of got on. It's quite hot.
Oh, I can flick it off if you want.
Yeah, it's quite hot. You're very good, thanks.
What's your favourite childhood memory? Or what are some of your favourites?
I think like our family, there was 6 of us, and my mum and dad, and an auntie lived with us all our lives, so there were 9 of us in the family, and we'd all get into our car. Not many people had cars in those days, but we had an Essex. Don't ask me what year. And there were no seat belts or anything, and so you'd be in the car, 9 of us, and my dad might see a traffic cop, he'd say, "Quick, get down, kids." So we'd all be down too.
So your favourite childhood memory is breaking the law?
Yeah.
Wouldn't have picked that for you now.
Yeah. And then of a Sunday we'd all go over to Francis, my cousin's place, and which was good. They had 8 in the family, 8 children in their family. So it was good. We always sort of went with family, mixed up. And then every Christmas we would go down to Timaru, get the overnight boat, left at 7 o'clock at night from Wellington and arrived in Littleton at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So, all those little things that...
Big family gatherings.
Families there. Everything was family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of family, tell me about your parents and what you remember about them and what it was like growing up with them.
My dad was quite strict, but not in a hard way. He had his own set ways, and we just sort of went along with everything. And, we never had family arguments or anything like, all kids are years, But sitting at the table, we'd all have to sit down at night, have our tea at the table. And it was a big discussion group with my dad. He'd always be questioning, quizzing. We had great times around the table. It wasn't eat and don't talk. It was all talk and what you'd been doing that day. But he was a great one for sort of having quizzes,
Yeah. What sort of questions would he ask you?
Well, sort of current affairs or different things
right.
different things going on around the world. He was very interesting, very learned sort of person.
Yeah. Was he quite strict on you being like...
going to church?
Yeah, going to church and
like
learning at school and stuff like that?
Yeah. I think we sort of all did all right at school, so we didn't really have to be pushed.
Yeah.
But no, he was... he liked things to be... He was a very... If he owed somebody 1 cent, he would worry about pennies in those days, he would worry. He's a very honest sort of person and open. My mum was probably a bit more relaxed. She wasn't quite as stern, and rigid. But no, we had a lot of funs, yeah.
Yeah. What were your parents' names?
Frank and Alice.
Okay, how about that?
Yeah.
Now my wife-to-be is Alice.
Yes, and my mum never had a second name because there were 6 girls and 1 boy in her family, and she was the last child, so I think they ran out of second names, so she only got 1 name.
Yeah, right. Fair enough, so just Alice.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
And
coincidence, eh?
And what was it like going into parenthood, meeting your first child?
Wonderful. Yeah, absolutely. It's something you can't imagine, as you're having that child, you can't imagine that you're going to be giving birth to like these people that are walking around, a human person. You probably know it yourself now what it feels like.
Yeah, well, I won't be able to do that, obviously.
Yeah, but you think, oh, it's going to be a person, and it's sort of living inside you, it's awesome, what you do call awesome.
Yeah.
It was just, you just can't really explain it until you sort of have it. And then that baby, never a more beautiful baby than your baby, of course. It doesn't matter if it had 2 heads, it would still be the most beautiful baby in the world.
Yeah. What was that first drive home like with, obviously Tony was your first child?
Well, you had to stay in hospital 2 weeks in those days.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Why is that?
That was just the norm.
Yeah, right.
You had to have sort of bed rest, and you had to learn how to bath the baby and feed the baby and change. 2 weeks, most people went for. Yeah. So you go home, and because I hadn't had contact with babies for years, so it was a bit worrying. I was a bit, because I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, and I was just worried the whole time. And if the baby, you couldn't hear it breathing, you'd give it a little poke to make sure it was still moving.
Yeah.
Which I think is quite normal.
Yeah, 100%. This is going to be a scary time, right?
Yeah. So second baby comes along, and you're a little bit more relaxed, you know. And third baby comes along, you're very relaxed.
Yeah.
But it's a big thing. You think, well, I've got the responsibility of this human being.
Yeah.
It's my responsibility, you know. And you're not really taught the little things, how you might be feeling.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, everybody would have.
Yeah, there's no how to do it
No,
book, right?
no,
like
no.
The best ways of
That's right, exactly. And everybody tries to give you
out.
advice, but every baby is different anyway. So
yeah, 100%.
you don't really listen to what everybody says and get the basics, you know.
Figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
I think you'll obviously be a different parent to a lot of different people out there giving you different advice.
Yeah, and like, you know, somebody might like to bring theirs up that way and you think, but I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. And tell me about your different kids that you had then and what it was like with obviously Tony as a kid, Suzanne and
Oh,
Mum.
Tony, I'm lucky I had a boy first.
Yeah.
Tony was a proper little boy. He wasn't naughty, he was just inquisitive and wanted to know everything, and so he was on the go the whole time. And we took him over to Australia when he was 20 months old, right? So he was walking. And in those days in Australia, you had the landline phone, and it was the push, you know, the wheel.
Yeah.
But anyway, every time you picked up the phone at Auntie Lila's house, that was 20 cents, two shillings, I think, or whatever it was. Every time you picked it, because it was a party line, you know.
Right.
So Tony would be picking up the phone all the time. So that was a bit of a hard thing going to Australia with that. So anyway, that was Tony. He was into everything. And then Suzanne came along, and she just sat. She was just so... we couldn't believe it. And Tony was about 2. Oh, no, yeah, Suzanne would have been born. Tony would have been 2. And I was trying to feed her. You know, it takes a while with a new baby. One of my friends rang up and she said, Tony's just crashed my daughter's birthday party. How he got out, you know, a few doors down the road and that. But anyway, but that was Tony.
Yeah. And Suzanne was just super chill.
Oh, yes, that's right. So she was, you know, after Tony, I was, and then Mum came along and she was, it's the same.
Yeah.
So easygoing. Of course, by the third one, you know, you're so much more relaxed and everything too.
Yeah.
So it wasn't hard. It was good.
Yeah. And I'd like to talk about religion. You're quite a religious person yourself.
Well,
tell me about growing up and...
Yeah, well, we had to go to church every Sunday. We went to 7 o'clock every Sunday morning.
Yeah.
All of us, you know, in the car. We were, but it wasn't rammed into us. You know, we were taught the basics and how to do it. And you had to go to church. Well, everybody had to go to church on a Sunday in those days. And but no, we had a really good family life. We were so lucky, you know.
Yeah, because obviously your brothers were priests, right?
Yeah, well, that was later on, of course.
Yeah.
Brian went straight from, I think he was about 17 or 18 when he left home to go. And Tom had been working for about 10 years when he decided he'd like to be a priest. So they both went at the same time.
Okay.
So that was hard, you know, your brothers leaving home. That was one of the hardest things, you know. And Jim was a Moiras brother and he left. He was only about 16 when he left to go.
Yeah, that's
so
young.
that was hard, you know, losing your brothers sort of like that, you know.
Because what happens at that time? Do you go like overseas or are you like out?
No, Jim had to go to Tuakau, which is up near Hamilton Way.
Okay.
Brian and Tom went down to not far from Timaru, down that way. So they had to be down there. I think they were about 6 years. Then they would come home, you know, through the year and Christmas time and that. But it just, you know, you just felt you didn't have those brothers around. I'd had them all my life, you know.
Yeah, almost changes you, right?
Yes.
Your whole life purpose is something else now.
Yeah. So that was hard, but anyway.
Yeah. Well, I remember Tom and Jim from obviously Tom recently.
Yeah,
and
other one Tom.
Yeah, other one Tom is what I'd call him, yeah. I think I was actually the kid that came up with that.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about someone and you said, oh, other one Tom. Oh, that's a good name for him, you know.
Yeah, that stuck. He knew who other one Tom was.
Yeah.
And obviously Jim as well.
Jim and I were always great friends growing up. You know, we had a lot more in common. I did everything with him. He had a paper run. I sort of went out and helped him on a paper run. And different things he would do, you know, I would sort of go. So I really missed him when he went away. And
yeah. He had lots of good stories too. I remember You know, he was
Oh,
always very,
yes.
very fun whenever he
Yeah.
came round your
Yeah,
house.
yeah, he loved a bit of fun. I
Yeah.
remember when Bradley was little and he was sitting in a little chair and Jim had his beer and had to give him a bit of beer, you know.
It's probably what turned Brad off there. He
Yeah.
doesn't drink anymore.
Might have been good for him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so no, it was hard, you know,
Yeah.
but anyway.
Yeah, sad time when we lost Jim.
Mm.
And what was your first job? What was the first job that you did?
I was a shorthand typist, so I did shorthand typing all my life.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
my first job might have been with Shell Oil Company, only for a year or so. Or a couple of years, maybe a year or so. And then I went and worked in a lawyer's office, legal office, for about 5 or 6 years.
Yep.
And then I went to New Zealand Dairy Board, and I was sort of like a PA, you know, I was on a one-to-one. My boss, you know, I
Yep.
was his secretary. Sort
Like
of
executive assistant type
yeah,
thing?
yeah. So, so I was with him up till I got married. And,
Oh, yeah. And what is shorthand typing?
well, they dictate, they read, you know, want to type a letter, they want to send a letter. So
These are the old typewriters,
take it all down in shorthand.
Yeah.
And then I've got to type it back on
Okay.
on the typewriter.
What happens if you make a mistake on a typewriter? 'Cause you can't just go
God.
back, right?
And it wasn't electric, so you had to pound, you know.
Yeah.
They were so hard, but that was all you had, and you got used to it. So yeah, as long as you could read your own shorthand back.
Yeah.
There was only one girl all through my years of we could read each other's shorthand, so that was helpful.
Yeah.
That was in the legal office, you know. So
Yeah. It's pretty important, eh?
yeah, but shorthand was a wonderful thing, you know. I still use it today.
Yeah. Well, we were just talking about your handwriting before.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's not good now.
Engagement present.
My dad had the most beautiful handwriting. He used to be put up, and he worked he had a great job in the post office. He was the chief in the accounts, and his writing was beautiful. It would be put on show that many times.
Yeah.
And Jim, Kevin, and Cecilia all got that beautiful handwriting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You missed out.
Well, I thought it was all right. Some of us did not. I used to get prizes at school, actually, because we did that was a subject
Yeah,
at
right.
school.
Okay.
But now I can't really write very much with my
Yeah.
hand. But
Do you think that's from writing too much?
I think
over
it's
the
probably
years?
RSI they called it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Repetitive strains.
I've never had good handwriting, as you can see. It's pretty terrible, isn't it?
Nor did Granddad, to be
But-
honest. He couldn't read his own sometime.
Yeah. Well, that's like my dad. I think he's the only one that can read his own writing too.
So, Josh, this is mine.
That's yours, yep. Go for it. And obviously that was over the course of most of your career was doing that as well, right?
Oh, my God. It was one of the best paid female jobs.
Okay. Yeah. Because it would have been quite hard getting a job back then, right, as a female? Probably just starting to change.
There was typists, you know, just did typing, and they were normally in a typing pool, which is a bit not personal, more impersonal type thing. But if you had a shorthand typer, you were much higher wage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because were there many job opportunities for women back then?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, you didn't really have any problems getting jobs.
Yeah.
But there were good jobs and better jobs, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know?
Limited options.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And what were your main hobbies that you've done over the course of your entire life that you look back on that maybe you don't do anymore? Or...
Well, I used to do a lot of knitting, hand knitting.
Yep.
Was really liked hand knitting, and I did sewing. I used to make your mum and Suzanne's pretty little dresses and things. And,
Yep.
but hobbies, I didn't really have a lot, I don't suppose, that I can sort of think of. Sport, I really like tennis and things,
Yeah.
you know.
Did you like watching any sports?
Yeah, well, they didn't
Or-
have TV or anything in those days.
Yeah, of
Oh,
course.
netball. I played netball, of course.
Yeah.
So
What position?
I was either centre or goalie,
Okay.
goal shoot. Mm.
Yeah. Now your grandkids play netball too, right?
Yeah. I used to watch all of them. You know, they all played. They were good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never took up netball, unfortunately.
You would go better at basketball.
Well, I was no good at basketball.
Did you
Better
ever
with
play?
my feet than my hands. I only played once.
Did you?
Yeah, I was no good.
So what did you think was the problem?
I didn't really want to play. I just
Oh.
wanted to kick the ball. I didn't want to throw
Right.
it.
So you prefer football?
I just prefer
Yeah,
football,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, we used to go when my dad was a great soccer person, you know, we used to go every Saturday practically to the Basin Reserve, especially when the Chatham Cup was on.
Yeah.
So we'd all be going in there watching. And Batoni was one of his favourite teams.
Yep.
And Marist.
Good man.
Of course, yeah.
Yep, Tony, the only good team out
Yeah.
there. Who's your best friend and why?
My best friends that I started school with, there was 3 of us. We started school, Maureen and Catherine and I. And so we were friends right up till the day they died, you know. So it was, you know, those friends are your genuine friends. I mean, I've got acquaintances now, but it's just not the same as the 3 of us.
Yeah, you have your core friends. And what was it like in the heyday with them?
Well, they used to come round to our place, and as I say, we'd go out and play cricket with the boys and go round to their place and maybe go to the movies once in a while.
Yeah.
Of a Saturday afternoon. Didn't really go out at night or anything, you know.
Yeah. And did you meet them at school, did you say?
We all started school about the same time.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
So we'd
that's
been
you
friends
became
right when we were
friends.
5.
Awesome.
And Catherine, she's the one, she moved over to Australia because she married an Australian also. And so whenever we went over to, not till they were 65, they moved over to Australia. And so every time we would go over, we'd go and stay with them and meet up with them and that. So, and then Maureen just died there about a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
That must have been hard for you.
It was horrible, yeah.
Yeah, it's never easy losing a friend, isn't it?
Especially for that long, you know, when we were 5.
Yeah. Oh, lots of good memories to look back on though, I bet. What's the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
Stick with your family. The most important thing of your whole life is your family.
Mm-hmm.
So don't ever fall out with them.
No.
If you can avoid it.
Yeah.
And if you do, I mean, the ones that people that I know that have got fallen out, I'm sure they wouldn't be able to tell you why they've fallen out. Would be some silly, petty little thing, but they won't talk because one won't sort of apologise or nobody will break the ice.
Yeah.
So family is the most important thing of your life.
I think we're pretty lucky in our family.
I think we're so lucky.
There's any
Yeah.
major things that have ever happened.
No.
That I've been aware of anyway. And if you could tell your great-grandkids or the next generation of kids in our family one thing, what would it be?
My father's one piece of advice, which I think is wonderful, don't go with the crowd unless the crowd's going your way. You know, if people think, oh, yeah, I've got to do that, you know, I've got to do that, don't do it. If it's something you don't want to do, don't do it.
Yeah.
They don't follow the crowd unless the crowd's going your way.
Don't be a sheep. You know that saying? Don't be a sheep.
What?
Sheep just follow each other.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Yeah. Thought you lived in New Zealand long enough to know that one.
Yeah. Or they say birds of a feather flock together.
yeah, that's, I don't know.
But no,
that
that I always think that don't go with the crowd unless the crowd's going your way. I really think that's a very important piece of advice.
Yep, no, I agree with that.
Because
100%.
you do follow, you know, think, oh yeah, well I've got to do it, and everybody else is doing it, but they don't.
Yeah, that's true. I live by that. All right, a couple of hopefully quick questions here, some fun ones. What's your favourite song of all time?
I think I said to you once before, I like that My Heart Goes, Celine Dion, My Heart
My Heart Will Go On,
Will Go
something
On.
like that?
Yeah, I really like that.
Do you want to try sing it?
God, no, I can't sing. One thing I can't do.
What did you do for your 21st, or what was your most significant birthday that you celebrated?
I did have a 21st, yeah. Had it at home, but it was nice, lots of people and friends and that round, and can just sort of vaguely remember it, yeah.
Is there any significant birthday you remember celebrating the most?
Only my 21st.
Your 21st, big one. And you've obviously done a lot of travel. What was your favourite holiday, and what's your favourite destination you've been to?
I still can't go past going to Australia. Like, been to South Africa, which was wonderful, but it was a bit scary. Been to Europe, around, you know, lots of different countries. Been to Canada, the States, Hawaii. But my favourite holidays have still always been Australia. Probably because it's like a second home to me now, you know. But I do like Australia.
Yeah. Is there any part of Australia you like the most?
I wouldn't ever live in Melbourne.
Why not?
Even though that's where I met Grandad. But
Yeah.
I spent a winter there, and it was the coldest, wettest winter that I could ever remember.
Yeah.
I like it for a holiday, but they're two extremes, you know.
Yeah, it gets really hot or really cold in Melbourne. There's no in between.
Yeah.
So somewhere up Gold Coast then?
Round Gold Coast, it's more, you know, you don't get extremes.
Yeah.
It's sort of warm-ish, not too hot and not too cold all year round.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sydney can get very hot, but parts of Sydney I like.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Sydney myself.
Isn't it funny? Yeah, and I, you know, really like Sydney.
Yeah, I lived there for 1 year, didn't like it, moved to Melbourne. Love it.
But that could have been circumstances too.
Yeah, I've been back to Sydney since though. It's just not for
Isn't
me.
it funny? Yeah.
It's like Auckland to Wellington.
Yeah.
Wellington being more like Melbourne and Auckland being more like Sydney. You either you like the hustle and bustle, or you like the multicultural restaurants and stuff. That's more Melbourne for me. All right, you've just been put on death row, and you get one final meal. What will it be?
I might have scallops.
Yeah. As an entree. What about a main? Or you have fresh, battered, fried?
I might have them battered. Oh no, done egg and breadcrumbs. Yeah.
What?
Breadcrumbs. You know,
Breadcrumbs.
crumbed.
Oh, crumbed.
Yeah.
Oh, like crumbed fish.
Yeah.
Like crumbed scallops.
Like dipped in the egg. And...
Oh yeah. And just then fried.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And would you have a main meal, or would you just have heaps of scallops?
I might go prawns.
Prawns.
Prawns and chicken.
Prawns, chicken, and scallops.
Oh, scallops on your own first.
Scallops as an entree.
Yeah.
What are you just having? What's the chicken? Is it roast chicken?
No, not a roast person really so much. No, a nice chicken curry or just a nice.
Oh yeah. Chicken prawn curry maybe.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Would you have a drink with it?
Oh yes.
What would you have?
I'd have just maybe a sab.
Yeah.
Yeah, or
nice.
red wine, whichever.
Well, it's up to you. You can have both.
I can have
if you
either.
want.
Whatever, you know, at the time. Whatever.
Yeah. Did you ever used to get drunk when you were younger?
Oh, a couple of times. On sherry, if you please.
Sherry.
Oh no, cider. Sorry,
Oh, cider.
Cider. Yeah. There were 3 couples of us every Saturday night, and we, you know, the kids, 3 children. We all had. I think the 3 of us had 3 children, and we'd go to one of each Saturday night, and we'd leave the kids at home, and then the dads would duck down, you know, for a couple of hours and check that the kids were right. Really, couldn't do it nowadays. And so us girls used to drink apple cider. Two apple ciders was fine, but if we got into that third one, you'd have a headache the next day. That was really all we drank.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And were they like big bottles of apple cider, or was this like little bottles?
No, just whatever that size was, probably a litre or whatever they were called
okay.
in those days. You know,
like a
750 or
bottle
whatever.
of it. Yeah. And do you still like apple cider now? Because I've never seen you drink apple cider. No. You like a red wine and a bubbles now, right?
Not so much even the bubbles, just the Sav, you know,
Sav.
Sauvignon Blanc or something, and red wine,
And what's it like having grandkids and seeing them grow, and
you
what's
don't
that
think
feeling?
it's completely different from having your own children, because it's all care and no responsibility, if you know what I mean. You know, you can love them and do everything with them, and you know, probably psychologically, or you know, in the back of your mind, you know, it's not your responsibility.
Yeah.
If you've overspoiled.
Just feed them sugar and leave.
No, but I don't know. It's just something. There's just something special about grandchildren. Yeah. And great grandchildren, I don't know yet.
Yeah, we'll find out next month
Yeah, I
probably
know.
because of Bradley,
Unreal,
which will be
isn't it?
exciting.
Yeah. But you can only just love them, you know. And you think when you have that first child of your own, you think you could never love another child or anything like that. But it wouldn't matter if you had 10. I think you'd still have that same feeling for each child.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And one of the last questions I have for you is, who is the love of your life and why?
Bill. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just loved them.
Yeah. Tell me about when you met him.
We were in this, like an apartment place, it's probably like a bed sitter. And on this particular floor, I think there were about 5 different bed sitters, and there was only one toilet, one bathroom. And we were there was Catherine and Francis, and I. And we were sort of quite near the place, and we arrived on a Sunday afternoon, and next morning we heard someone say, "Oh, there must be Sheilas in that place." So anyway, we were only there probably about 5 weeks when I was, going to be coming back home because they kept my job for me when I went away. So anyway, we all sort of got on together, and nobody lived in anybody's house, but we'd all sort of go around and have drinks in each other's flats. And then I started going out with Grandad. We went to the movies, and then we just sort of kept going out together. And then I came back home, and we just corresponded.
Because you were on a holiday, right?
Yeah,
in Australia.
Holiday. Yeah.
Yeah. How did you correspond with each other?
Oh, just letters. Yeah, it took about a week to get there each way, so you had to wait then for a reply to come back. And yeah, and then Grandad came over 6 months later, and with 2 of his friends, and which was great. And then they sort of did a bit of they did flat in Wellington, then they did a little bit of a tour of the South Island, and then Grandad came back, and we got engaged a couple of months later, and then married the following year.
Here we are.
So it was really lovely, it was sort of,
And do you know much about Grandad's upbringing and childhood as well?
There was 7 children, he was number 6.
Yeah.
2 girls and 5 boys, yeah. Oh, very close family they were, but similar to our family, really.
Yeah.
Very close family, yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool being able to go back to Coolman where he was
they were a lovely
born and
family,
raised.
yeah. I never got to meet his dad. His dad died before I had a chance to meet him.
Yeah.
But no, very close family, lovely. Yeah. His mum was lovely, and all the family were lovely, yeah.
I remember a story he told me when he was living over there growing up, and he used to take his horse out into the bush, and then he'd see all these snakes.
Yeah, I know.
He'd have to
that's right.
kill them so they didn't kill his horse, which I don't think he was supposed to do back then.
I know.
But he loved his horse, from what he used to tell me. Paddy. Was that his name?
Yeah, Paddy.
Yeah. And then he obviously moved to New Zealand, became a mechanic.
Well, he lived with his sister Lila for 5 years, because they came from Coolman, because he lived then in Sydney and Wollongong with Lila and Laurie for 5 years, so they were sort of like a second family. Yeah. And then did his apprenticeship there, and he got a good job over there, and then I met him, of course, and came back here.
Yeah. And what was it like going into, because he ran his own business as well, right? What was that like, and was that scary to do that at that time, or was that quite normal to run your own trade?
Well, it was a bit of a gamble for a start, because he had been working at the gear meat company for quite a long number of years, and then that closed down, and he went to another place, and then he went to a garage with Peter, his friend, and then they were closing down, or he moved away, I can't remember. So we kept saying, why don't you just sort of do things on your own? So then he started just, friends and that, and started growing up, and then we got onto an account and everything, and he sort of told us what to do, and then so I ran the books, and Grandad ran the thing, and it was good. Yeah. Yeah.
And you sort of stopped doing your job as well and started doing that full time, or?
Yeah, I gave my job away. Yeah.
So you're both fallen.
No, it was good. So it was the best thing we could ever have done, was do your own business. And
100%.
Yeah.
It was obviously really helpful having him to fix our cars and stuff as well, right?
I still curse that he's not around.
Yeah. His little garage and all his little tools and stuff. It always.
Yeah, but we had the garage over in. Do you remember when we had the garage over in Paruta Street?
No.
Oh no, you wouldn't have remembered that. No, because Samuel was only a baby, only little in those days.
Yeah, but I'd remember whenever I come round to your house, I'd run straight out to the back. Garage is open. Grandad would be under a car doing something.
Yeah. He was a hard worker.
Yeah,
he was a good mechanic.
He really was. He really didn't. What I remember of him is he didn't want help. He never wanted help.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like even in his last days where he could hardly like prune the roses, and
Right, yeah.
I'd come around to prune the roses with
Right.
him, and he
Oh, is it?
couldn't watch me struggle doing it.
Right.
He's like, "No, give me, I'll do it
Yeah.
myself." Like,
Because he couldn't do. If he'd seen me nowadays doing it, God, he'd be having a fit.
he loved his peanuts and his pretzels and his
Yeah,
VBs.
nibbles.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Granddad always had his seat on the couch too that no one else would dare sit in.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh no, I certainly missed him. So,
Yeah.
so I hope you have a marriage that's, successful.
Yeah. So do I. How long were you married for? How long are you married for?
When he died, we were married in 63, about 54 years, I think. Yeah.
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 What are the secrets to a happy marriage?
Respect each other. Don't take each other for granted, which is, and tell each other you love them plenty, and just little things really, not big things. It's just little things, and doing things together. That's the most important.
Okay.
Like I mean, Granddad wouldn't go away on holiday without me, and I wouldn't go away without him. So we did everything together, but like your mum and dad.
Yeah.
We did everything together. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, when our kids were little, we always had friends saying wanted to go away with a crowd, but we didn't like holidays like that. We wanted to go away just us.
Yeah.
And even, I mean, right up till Granddad died, different ones said, we should all go away, but we only went away on our own. We would go and stay with the family for a while, and then we'd go on our own. And I think you've got to have that time on your own. You know.
Yeah.
But do things together. You
Okay.
know.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
Do things together. Awesome. Well, we can wrap it up there if you like.
Great.
Um,
Love you, babies.
yeah. You'll see them one day, I'm sure. But yeah, thanks for coming on.
Oh, that was
I just want to
nice.
say I love you as well, and thanks for being the best nana.
Yes.
And being there a lot through our childhood as well.
Don't make me cry.
Making it happy.
I've got the best kids and the best grandkids. And Granddad and I we used to often talk how lucky we were.
Yeah.
We had the best kids you could ever have, and we end up with the best grandkids you could ever have. No, the great-grandchildren will probably be the same.
Yep. It still starts from the top.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, cool. We'll stop it there, eh?
Thanks, Josh. It was lovely.
Thank you, Nana.